Every year, content creators push the limits of what they'll do for views, and some of them never come back. 5 influencers hit record on their cameras, chasing the viral moment that would change their lives. And it did, just not the way they imagined. These are the true stories of influencers whose cameras captured their final seconds. Our first story takes us to a remote mountain cabin outside Fresno, California. It was March 15th, 2019, and the morning air was crisp at about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Dense pine forest stretched for miles in every direction. And inside that cabin, a 28-year-old named Trent Ashford was preparing for what he believed would be his big comeback. Trent worked part-time as a barista at a downtown coffee shop, but his real dream was becoming a lifestyle influencer. For 3 straight years, he had been posting daily content, fitness routines, cooking experiments, motivational speeches, but his subscriber count had stagnated at just 2,400 followers. Co-workers described him as vain and entitled, someone who constantly expected special treatment because of his online presence. But the internet didn't care about Trent's ego. His videos barely pulled 50 views each, and comment sections were filled with criticism about his repetitive content and obvious desperation for attention. Recent months had been devastating. His subscriber count actually dropped to 1,800. Trent knew he needed something spectacular to revive his dying channel. He'd been researching extreme content ideas for weeks, studying viral videos and analyzing what made them blow up. That's when professional bartenders performing flaming cocktail demonstrations caught his eye, particularly videos showing elaborate fire displays that generated millions of views. So Trent hatched a plan. He rented an isolated cabin, 5 miles from the nearest neighbor, specifically to avoid interruptions during filming. His goal: a tower of 6 flaming drinks using high-proof grain alcohol, something no other content creator had tried. He maxed out his last credit card on professional lighting, 3 cameras at different angles, and a satellite internet device for live streaming. This expensive equipment represented his final investment in his failing channel. If this didn't work, nothing would. On the evening of March 15th, Trent went live with 43 viewers watching. He arranged 6 glass containers in a pyramid formation on the wooden kitchen counter, each filled with 190 proof grain alcohol purchased specifically for maximum visual impact. He wore his favorite cotton shirt, styled his hair with extra product, because even on the edge of disaster, Trent needed to look perfect on camera. When he lit the first container, the flame shot well over a foot high, way bigger than his earlier test runs. The live stream chat filled with excited comments. Instead of backing off, Trent decided to add more alcohol to intensify the flames for his audience. That's when everything went sideways. As he attempted to light the second level of his pyramid, grain alcohol splashed onto his cotton sleeve. The fabric ignited instantly. Trent panicked, stumbled backward, and knocked over the remaining containers. High-proof alcohol spread rapidly across the wooden counter and floor, creating a wall of fire between him and the cabin's only exit door. His hair caught fire as he tried to pat down his burning clothes. The live stream kept rolling as viewers watched the incident unfold in real time. The fire consumed the kitchen within seconds, igniting curtains and wooden cabinets. Trent died from severe burns and smoke inhalation after the fire spread through the cabin. The structure burned completely to the ground, leaving nothing but charred remains and melted camera equipment. The property owner discovered the destruction 3 days later during a routine check. Authorities reviewed the live stream footage and ruled the death accidental, caused by reckless behavior with flammable materials. But here's what should chill you to the bone. Trent wasn't the only content creator whose quest for viral fame led to a deadly miscalculation. Because hundreds of miles east in Ohio, an urban explorer's determination to capture exclusive footage would take him into a basement filled with invisible danger. It was August 22nd, 2017, in the basement of a defunct shopping mall in Akron, Ohio. The temperature outside had reached 89 degrees, but the underground levels remained cool and damp from decades of neglect. Garrett Voss was 31 years old, working the night shift at a warehouse loading dock while spending weekends exploring abandoned buildings for his urban exploration blog. Garrett had been documenting forgotten places for 2 years, building a following of 3,200 subscribers who loved his fearless approach to trespassing in restricted areas. Friends called him a thrill seeker who constantly pushed boundaries, bragging about evading security guards and ignoring posted warnings. The mall had been abandoned for over a decade, its interior stripped to bare concrete. But Garrett's channel was struggling. Other explorers had already covered most accessible abandoned locations in Ohio, and his view counts had been declining for months. He desperately needed exclusive footage from a place no other creator had documented. Then he learned something critical. Previous explorers had only documented the main retail floors. Nobody had ventured into the basement utility levels. This was virgin territory, exclusive content that could completely revive his channel. He spent weeks planning, studying building blueprints, and identifying the safest entry points. Garrett recruited a camera operator to wait outside while he explored alone, wanting to maintain his reputation as the fearless solo explorer who didn't need backup. The basement entrance was behind the former department store Anchor, accessible through a damaged service door. As Garrett approached, he noticed a strong chemical smell, but dismissed it as typical for sealed buildings. His determination to capture never-before-seen footage outweighed every safety concern. That afternoon, Garrett descended into pitch-black corridors using powerful LED lights. His camera operator monitored through a wireless video feed. For 30 minutes, he documented rusted pipes, abandoned electrical equipment, and decades of debris. The chemical smell grew stronger with every step, but he kept filming, too excited about the exclusive content to turn back. Then he found it, a sealed utility room completely untouched since the mall's closure. The heavy metal door was locked, but Garrett had tools for exactly this. He forced it open and stepped inside. What Garrett didn't know was that decades-old gas pipes in that sealed room had slowly displaced all breathable oxygen. Without any ventilation, oxygen levels had fallen to dangerously low levels over the years. The air was a death trap. Garrett lost consciousness within seconds of entering the room. His camera kept recording as he collapsed to the concrete floor. The wireless feed had already failed due to underground interference. When he didn't return at their agreed time, the camera operator called emergency services. Responders entered with ventilation equipment and recovered his body. His camera, containing uninterrupted footage of his final exploration, was retained as evidence and never publicly released. Garrett Voss died from asphyxiation caused by oxygen-depleted air, killed by a room that looked perfectly normal but contained no way to survive. Now, if you think walking into an invisible death trap is terrifying, wait until you hear what happened in the Arizona desert, because this fitness influencer saw the danger coming and chose to ignore it. It was September 8th, 2015, in a remote desert wash about 30 miles southeast of Phoenix, Arizona. The temperature had hit 104 degrees by mid-afternoon, and narrow canyon walls radiated heat like an oven. Paige Holloway was 26 years old, managing a retail clothing store during the week, while trying to build a fitness influencer brand in the evenings. Paige had been posting workout videos and motivational content for 18 months, but her follower count remained frustratingly stuck. Her content was virtually indistinguishable from thousands of other fitness influencers posting the same routines and inspirational quotes. She desperately needed something to set her apart, something that might attract major fitness brands offering sponsorship deals. Her apartment was already filled with ring lights, cameras, and workout gear, all purchased on credit cards. Paige was betting everything on eventual success. She chose the Desert Wash for its dramatic 40-foot sandstone walls and natural golden hour lighting. On the morning of September 8th, Paige noticed dark storm clouds gathering over distant mountains. Her filming partner expressed concern about the weather, but Paige had driven 3 hours to this location. She couldn't afford to waste the trip. Here's what Paige didn't fully understand. Desert washes are death traps during monsoon season. They channel flash floods from rainfall happening miles away, storms you can't even see coming. The narrow walls that create stunning visuals also create deadly traps when water rises. Warning signs at the canyon entrance specifically cautioned about flash flood risks. Paige ignored every single one. She spent over an hour setting up cameras throughout the wash, positioning herself in the deepest part of the canyon for the most dramatic backdrop. Her partner filmed from the rim 40 feet above. Storm clouds were now clearly visible, but Paige insisted on completing her routine. Then her partner heard it, a distant rumbling that grew rapidly louder. Around the canyon bend, a fast-moving wall of muddy water several feet high appeared with devastating force. The flash flood originated from distant rainfall, channeling through the narrow wash like a freight train through a tunnel. Paige had no time to react. The torrent knocked her off balance and swept her downstream along with her equipment. The canyon walls were too steep and smooth to climb, the current far too powerful for swimming. Her partner called rescue immediately, but the remote location delayed response significantly. Search teams recovered Paige's body 4 days later, along with scattered camera fragments. No usable footage was recovered. Paige died from drowning and blunt force trauma after being carried several miles downstream by the flood. A 26-year-old woman, gone in seconds, because the perfect backdrop mattered more than the warnings that could have saved her life. But as horrifying as being swept away by floodwaters sounds, our next story might be even more disturbing, because it involves a man who voluntarily dove into a frozen nightmare with absolutely no way out. It was January 14th, 2018, on a remote frozen lake in northern Minnesota, 40 miles from the nearest town. The temperature had dropped to -18 degrees Fahrenheit, with a brutal wind chill that made the air feel like razor blades on exposed skin. Jet Blackwood was 33 years old, an insurance adjuster by day who spent his free time creating extreme challenge content for YouTube. Jet had built 4,800 subscribers through increasingly dangerous cold weather stunts, ice swimming, snow cave survival challenges, hypothermia endurance tests. Friends described him as an adrenaline junkie who constantly needed to top himself, often ignoring basic safety in pursuit of content. The frozen lake stretched 2 miles in each direction, covered by 18 inches of solid ice. Jet chose this remote spot specifically to avoid park rangers or bystanders who might try to stop him. His previous ice swimming video pulled 50,000 views, and viewers pushed him toward more extreme content. So Jet planned his most ambitious stunt, an underwater swim beneath thick ice, entering and exiting through a single hole. He studied professional ice divers but conveniently ignored their guide ropes, safety divers, and emergency air supplies. He recruited a 3-person crew, promising revenue shares when the video went viral. The crew spent 2 hours cutting a 4-foot square hole through 18 inches of ice. The opening revealed black water that looked like a portal to another world. Steam rose as 34-degree water met the frigid air, an ominous sight that should have been a final warning. That afternoon, Jet entered wearing only swimming trunks and a diving mask. Deep breaths, then under. The underwater environment was completely disorienting. Uniform white ice above, dark water below, 0 reference points for navigation. He planned to swim straight for 90 seconds and return. The featureless void made that impossible. After 2 minutes, Jet was lost. He tried to surface, solid ice everywhere. Without a guide rope or any markers, he had no way back to the opening. Panic set in as his air ran out. He swam frantically in widening arcs, but 18 inches of ice wouldn't break. Cold shock and oxygen deprivation destroyed his coordination and judgment. His crew tried cutting more holes but lacked the equipment and training for ice rescue. Emergency services arrived 3 hours later but couldn't locate him beneath the frozen surface. Jet Blackwood's body was recovered during the spring thaw. 4 months later, he died from drowning and hypothermia beneath the ice. 4 months under that frozen lake. Let that sink in. You'd think nothing could top voluntarily trapping yourself beneath a frozen lake. But our final story involves a man who strapped himself to a homemade rocket and hit the ignition button. November 3rd, 2018, a remote ranch in West Texas, 60 miles from the nearest town. Clear skies, 78 degrees, flat barren landscape stretching to the horizon. Axel Stone was 29, a delivery driver who spent his evenings building DIY science projects for YouTube. Axel had been posting experiments for 2 years, escalating from simple chemistry to elaborate engineering projects that pushed every boundary of safety and legality. His 6,200 subscribers loved his fearless approach. His garage was filled with power tools, chemical supplies, and half-finished projects that would horrify any professional engineer. He had 0 formal training in chemistry or engineering, relying entirely on internet research and dangerous trial-and-error experimentation. Previous videos had featured homemade explosives, improvised rocket engines, and electrical devices that regularly caught fire during testing. His biggest hit, a rocket reaching 200 feet, pulled 75,000 views. Viewers demanded bigger, so Axel planned to build a much larger rocket and ride it himself for first-person footage. He chose a potassium nitrate and sugar fuel mixture, secured a remote ranch by promising the owner future revenue, and got to work. Over 3 weeks, he built a 10-foot rocket from PVC pipe and salvaged metal, attaching a crude climbing harness so he could strap himself to the device. No guide systems, no safety equipment, no professional oversight, just internet tutorials and blind confidence. That afternoon, Axel strapped himself to his creation using climbing harnesses and rope. Multiple remote cameras surrounded the launch site, but his fuel was far more unstable than he realized. Mixed in improper ratios, packed into a motor casing with no pressure relief or reinforcement. Failure during ignition was almost guaranteed. When Axel hit the ignition, the rocket didn't launch. It catastrophically failed. The casing ruptured under sudden pressure, sending burning fuel and metal fragments outward as the structure disintegrated at ground level. Cameras captured the failure and fire before cutting off. No witnesses, no scheduled check-in. The ranch owner found the debris 2 days later during a routine property check. Axel Stone died from blast trauma, fragmentation injuries, and severe burns at the launch site. 5 content creators, 5 cameras that kept rolling, 5 stories that all share one devastating truth. No video, no matter how viral it might go, is worth your life. Not for 43 viewers, not for 50,000, not for any number on a screen. Next time you see someone online doing something that makes your stomach drop, remember these stories. Behind every viral stunt gone wrong was a real person who believed the algorithm would reward their bravery, and instead, it recorded their final moments. If this video made you think twice about any of this, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment telling us which story hit you the hardest. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications, because we've got more stories coming that you absolutely won't want to miss. Stay safe out there, take care of yourselves, and always remember, the best content you'll ever create is the kind you actually live to post.